Donald Trump's nominee for Attorney General, William P. Barr, a.k.a. Robert Johnson, is a high-level fixer who protected the Bush and Clinton families from accountability for high crimes. If the details of a 1994 book are correct, Barr committed high crimes as well. The president keeps whiffing when it comes to naming the right person to the one position that can indict deep state criminals. The feckless Jeff Sessions recused himself and was fired after 2 years for being incompetent. His successor, acting Attorney General Matt Whitaker, seems to be acting like he recused himself, even though he hasn't. And now, deep state apparatchik William P. Barr is the nominee? Trump is being duped by deep state people he trusts. In 1983, a man named Terry Reid was recruited by Oliver North, who went by the code name John Cathy, for the CIA. The reason Reid was recruited? As an experienced military pilot, former CIA director and Vice President George H.W. Bush needed people like Reid to train Nicaraguan pilots to transport illegally manufactured guns from a small airport in Mena, Arkansas, down to the Contras in Nicaragua. CIA informant Barry Seal would fly cocaine back to the U.S. to help finance the operation. Bush couldn't have American pilots getting shot down in Central America when Congress forbade giving assistance to the Contras via the Boland Amendments. At a White House news conference in 1994, reporter Sarah McClendon asked Clinton about this operation. Clinton was clearly caught off guard by the question, and in his response, he didn't deny the operation existed. He just denied knowledge of it. He then pointed to federal officials and U.S. attorneys. Any guesses who those attorneys reported to? That's right, Attorney General William P. Barr from 1991 to 1993. Here is an excerpt from that exchange.
Sir, the Republicans are trying to blame you for the existence of a small air base at Mena, Arkansas. This base was set up by George Bush and Oliver North and the CIA to help the Iran-Contras, and they brought in plane load after plane load of cocaine there for sale in the United States. And then they took the money and bought weapons and took them back to the Contras, all of which was illegal, as you know, under the Boland Act. But tell me, did they tell you that this had to be in existence because of national security?
Well, let me answer the question. No, they didn't tell me anything about it. They didn't say anything to me about it. The airport in question and all the events in question were the subject of state and federal inquiries. It was primarily a matter for federal jurisdiction. The state really had next to nothing to do with it. The local prosecutor did conduct an investigation based on what was within the jurisdiction of state law. The rest of it was under jurisdiction of the United States attorneys who were appointed successively by previous administrations. We had nothing, zero, to do with it, and everybody who's ever looked into it knows that.
Anyway, to operate in Arkansas, Bush needed to have then-Governor Bill Clinton on board. In exchange, Clinton would be allowed to launder federal money through his bond business and take a cut while financing the operation through fake companies. But we all know what Bill Clinton is like. He started to take money before laundering it, leaving him and the feds exposed. He also got far too many of his friends involved. Too many people were asking too many questions about what was going on in Mena. The operation needed to be moved to Mexico, and it was named Operation Screwworm. Reid was in the middle of that plan. Shortly after Seal was assassinated in his car outside a Salvation Army halfway house, many people believe Oliver North ordered that hit, Reid attended a very secret meeting inside a World War II bunker at Camp Robinson in Little Rock, Arkansas. None other than William Barr chaired that meeting. Also present were Oliver North and Bill Clinton, as well as Clinton's economic advisor, Bob Nash, who is black. The reason that is relevant will be made known shortly. According to Reid, Barr, known as Robert Johnson, in the meeting, was the guy in charge. He was there on behalf of the CIA Director William Casey, and he was there to help fix a huge mess for George H.W. Bush. That also involved helping Clinton by necessity. Governor Clinton did not like the idea of being left high and dry as the feds closed up shop and moved south of the border. According to Reid, a visibly agitated Clinton spoke up and said, quote, "It seems someone in Washington has made decisions without much consulting with either myself or my aide here, Mr. Nash, and I'd like to express my concern about the possible exposure my state has as you guys skedaddle out of here to Mexico. I feel somewhat naked and compromised. You're right, there are definitely some loose ends," close quote. In response, Barr made it clear who was in charge. "Hold on," he said. "Calm down. Mr. Casey is fully in charge here. Don't you old boys get it? Just tell me what has to be taken care of or who needs to be taken care of, and I'll fix it for you," close quote. A short time later, Barr allegedly said, quote, "The deal we made was to launder our money through your bond business. What we didn't plan on was you and your token N-word here to start taking yourself seriously and purposely shrinking our laundry," close quote. That's an admission of a crime, just in case you're wondering. Barr essentially admitted to committing crimes and that he was at Camp Robinson to help fix everything. When Reid became a liability for the feds because of what he knew and what the feds thought he might do, they went after him. In much the same way that the special counsel Robert Mueller targeted people, so too was Reid targeted. Speaking of Mueller, we recently learned that he and Barr go back decades. They're close friends, and so are their wives. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein has said he will step down after Barr is confirmed. Does that make sense now? The feds actually prosecuted Reid for something the feds instructed Reid to do. Fortunately, when Reid subpoenaed Barr, at the time Reid only knew him as Robert Johnson, Barr could not afford to come forward. As a result, the feds acquitted Reid. Consider that all of the times that the feds prosecute anyone, less than 5% of those charged aren't convicted. Barr couldn't come forward, and Reid was let go. Why on earth would Donald Trump nominate this man as Attorney General? As I said, he's being duped by deep state apparatchiks who he wrongly trusts. If Barr becomes the next AG, you can rest assured that deep state criminals like Jim Comey, Andrew McCabe, Hillary Clinton, John Brennan, James Clapper, Loretta Lynch, Barack Obama et al. Will not pay a price for their crimes. Joe Sixpack stirring the pot with common sense.